Welcome to this edition of the Times Techies webinar series. My name is Sujit John. I've been a technology and business reporter at TUI for a long time, almost 25 years. I will moderate this discussion. Our discussion today is on enabling the workplace of the future with VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure. The discussion is in association with HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and SHRO Systems. VDI is the technology that hosts desktop environments on a central server. You can imagine the advantages that it provides to IT administrators when employees are all working remotely. You don't have to go around individually configuring machines or worry about security. So when the pandemic hit and everyone started working from home, the demand for VDI just shot up. We will discuss all of this in the discussion today. And to discuss all of this, we have with us two very accomplished professionals. We have with us Anirudh Shrotriya. Anirudh is the managing director of Shro Systems. Shro Systems is a certified HPE Platinum partner having deep tech expertise. Shro has over 3 decades of experience in using technology to drive better business outcomes and helping companies with their digital transformation journeys. Anirudh said in a LinkedIn post this week that from his college and early work days, he always liked being called a techie, and that's what he continues to be, a serial tech entrepreneur with a vision to use technology innovation to advance and improve people's lives. Welcome, Anirudh.
Thank you so much.
And we have with us Manoj Kolekar. Manoj is Senior Evangelist for Technology at HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Manoj has over 23 years of experience in the IT industry. He started his career during the nascent stages of the IT boom in India, and since then has been in various roles in the Unix database and storage fields. In his previous roles, Manoj was Director Systems Engineering and a Senior Evangelist. Currently, he manages some of the large enterprise environments for HPE as a consultant. Those who are viewing this can send in questions through the Facebook comment box. I will put them to Anirudh and Manoj. Each of them will make a presentation and then we'll get into a Q&A. Anirudh will make the first presentation. Over to you, Anirudh.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Not yet. I think it's coming. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. Namaste, everyone. Thank you for being on this platform. As Sujit said, I loved being called a techie back then in engineering college, and so many years later, it's good to be part of another tribe called Times Techies, and happy to be on this platform. My name is Anirudh Shrotriya. I'm the managing director at Shro Systems. We are a 33 years old IT solutions provider in the Indian market, and very passionate for technology, and we would love to implement technologies to enhance the business platforms of companies as we look at the post-pandemic world as well. So we're here to talk about the new normal, and you must have heard this word quite a lot, but if you look at the picture that I've put in my screen right now, that says 1,000 words. Look at what we have lived through the last 1 year, and if you look at what we are going to live through the next some years, this is the reality. We are living in a world where we have to work from anywhere. Work from home is a reality, but work from anywhere is more of a reality right now. And when you look at this picture, you also see concentration. And one of the things that it depicts is productivity. I think wherever you are, it's very important that you remain productive. And companies are now expecting that of you. So whether you are a student who's learning or whether you are a professional who's working, you have to be on top of your game. You have to perform and advance your career. This is not a holiday. This is not a time where you're going to reflect and say we're going to slow down. In fact, this is going to become a normal and the way you're going to work. VDI as a technology has now become the mainstay, and that's what we're talking about today. But it's so important that you stay productive, and VDI as a technology just helps you do that. When you look at numbers, 90% of the organizations are working remotely today. And this fact may not change. This will, as you see, multiple lockdowns happening. As I speak today, the streets outside in my office is all locked down. We're essential services, so we are operating, but 90% of the organizations will have to continue or maybe adopt a hybrid workplace where not many people will be allowed to come back to their workplaces. 45% of those employees are saying work from home is good. But what is VDI really good for the future workplace? If you look at security, one of the main thing VDI offers you is to give you a secure environment for your workers to work. More importantly, helps you secure your data and allows you to get very, very clear about your IP and your intellectual property that you own as a company. Manageability. Now, if you look at VDI, it enables you to manage a lot of resources. It allows you to scale. One of the biggest advantages that you have if your organization is scaling, how does your IT keep up? And manageability, it allows you to meet SLAs, and your IT teams are more productive, and they're able to give you services that you need. This slide talks about a little bit on what are the pain points we are addressing through VDI as a workload. If you look at one of the pain points people had and a lot of customers had, if you look at intellectual property theft, take an example of an auto industry. They're designing a new vehicle, and if you look at R&D departments in such companies, or you look at IT coding that is happening of a new product, they were fortresses, right, where nobody was allowed. They were kind of siloed. They had a lot of secretive environments where the IP was probably secure within the four walls. And then come this pandemic and everything is opened up. What are we going to do in terms of how to protect the IP theft, and what technology will help you achieve that? And VDI, in fact, allows you to protect mission critical data and your R&D investments. It's super important point when you look at companies as they look at working from home environments. And then you go to the next point of supporting many different devices. If you look at BYOD so many years back, it allowed maybe a device or two devices. Certain user types were allowed to get whatever device they want. But now it's not the same. Everybody has to get a device. They are free to get whatever device they want. All users have become accessible, and all users have to now start performing. So the users have options as to time and location to use their work and data. And as a technology, it should be enable that. And as we speak, you see Gen Zs coming into the workforce. Many of you on this call will be Gen Zs, and you will want to have the choice of device that you want, and you want to have the choice of where you want to work from, and organizations have to be able to give that. And VDI as a technology gives you that flexibility, enables you to work securely and productively on any device, anywhere. And then you look at data, which is again the fuel for any digital or data transformation that companies are going through. How important is data? But data now in VDI is created, is utilized, is managed, and is also backed up and stored. And it never exits the data center of an IT of the IT core. So what this means is that wherever you are not compromising anything of the company's IP or your data, and it's all protected. And VDI is kind of powering that, enabling that, and is advancing those entire features for any company and any requirement. And then again, the user support of that cost to also go down. That is one thing that VDI also does. At Shro Systems, we use a VDI approach for almost every case that we go through. But we have got a lot of industry verticals, whether it's a banking and finance and insurance, or whether it's manufacturing or IT-enabled services. Our approach is pretty similar, that we assess, we understand the user and business requirements, we identify the investment readiness, then we have a plan, which is we define an architecture, and we define a support plan. Many times we have a VDI workshop, which is a 1 day or a 2 day workshop we spend with the business users of the customer to actually design the right solution. And our pre-sales team and our certified engineers, they spend time to make this entire plan a little bit fail-proof, because VDI, if not implemented and executed well, will not give you the right results. So it's important that you go through these steps of assessing, planning, designing, and then we have this important step of POC. This is a proof of concept or a pilot, as we call it. This is also important, but many times now with the time to market, a requirement to speed up the time to market, a lot of reference architectures are used. We have already done POCs for a finance industry, for example, or for a manufacturing industry, for example. We can reference that architecture, reference that case study. We can give it to customers so that we can fast track, because the results are known. And then the implementation phase and the manage and support phase. So we kind of go through this approach so that there is it doesn't fail, and we have a foolproof solution. One of the case studies I would like to talk to you today is on our engineering VDI solution. This is again a very, very resource hungry, a very, very powerful solution requirement. And many times such solutions will be best done on-premise. The customer background that we had was providing CAD services to auto companies. They were giving architectural and engineering services. So when you look at their background, the work from home solution requirements was for design users. Now, again, as I said in the earlier slide, this becomes, they want to protect the IP, they want to protect their entire productivity also should be, ensured. And also important is that they need scalability. Today it's 40 users and tomorrow it's going to scale to 150, maybe 300. And if you look at VDI as a solution, it can scale to 10,000 users, to 20,000 users. The scalability that it offers and the productivity that it offers is something unparalleled. So their requirements were simple. They wanted this for the design users. They wanted a centralized management option, and they wanted all the data to be monitored. The challenges were very, very straightforward, that the IT department wanted to control, should be able to manage and monitor this entire solution. At the same time, that data security was of paramount importance, which their challenges they faced in front of us. This entire thing, we did it in our assess and plan stage, which we did with the VDI workshop. And ultimately with the HP SimpliVity solution, which is a hyperconverged solution, and VMware and NVIDIA, we are able to design a solution for them. Our role was to design the solution, do the POC, but the benefits that they got was simplified anti-management, and they gained a lot of control. More importantly, I think they had to enhance their flexibility with their data governances. With their IP was protected. That was the only thing that I think they put in front of us, that whatever you do, wherever our users are working for, they should be productive and they should have the protection of data. Another customer case that we did was for an IT software company, Sujit. This was very, very relevant because if you see the technical architecture, it's so simply put, but the complexities are at our end, at the customer end, it is a very simple interface. They're getting virtual machines which are sitting on top of a VMware hypervisor, and below that is an infrastructure which is again hyperconverged. The complexities of the hyperconverged have really, the complexities of the data or IT requirements have just been taken care by the hyperconverged infrastructure. And Sujit, in fact, you also can provision a virtual machine in a SimpliVity environment. It is as simple as that. And there are some compute nodes for VDI and there's a management cluster node. But at the interface that you see, it becomes very simple to manage and very simple to deploy and very simple to execute. So that is the advantage the SimpliVity gets to you. A lot of customers came back to me, Sujit, and a lot of them said that they want to have a flexibility of how they want to use it. In pandemic, a lot of businesses went down. A lot of businesses did not have the same kind of investment ability. So they wanted to have a scale up, scale down. How do I do that? How do I have cloud-like economics? And how do I get those same agility? So but they wanted to have, they also want to have the on-prem performance. They also wanted to have the on-prem compliance and control. I think we have a solution with HP, we call it, which is basically a service, which is an on-prem cloud service. We have a menu of standardized desktop options. We have task users, knowledge users, and then the power users. And you have a variety of Citrix and VMware flavor. It's just like going into a restaurant. You have a lot of menu options, and you can choose the flavor. You can choose what you want. But most importantly, it is delivered as a service, but managed by us, controlled by us, and it's in their data center. It is next to them, so they have a lot of compliance and control. So I think the overall offering is that the feeling of customers today is that they want cloud-like economics, but they just still also want to have the control in them. And VDI as a technology is pretty power hungry and resource hungry. So it's always good for a lot of companies to embrace a hybrid cloud kind of a solution, which GreenLake provides. On the learning side, I keep saying, and I'm a fan of certification and knowledge. I think I always recommend people, and there are a lot of people on this call, please read up whatever is available in terms of technology information. But this is one book I'm recommending. It's not the only book, but please go and read this. But also I will come back on the certification side, whether you're a VDI solution architect. And at Shro Systems, Madhav is on the call. He will also vouch for this. We always lay a big emphasis on certification. We want a single person to be certified and be current, earn your badges. For example, HP has certifications, Citrix, VMware, Microsoft. All the certifications are available on the public domain. Go educate yourself. There are web-based tutorials, learnings. This is a lot of time that you have in hand. Utilize them to be certified, earn your badges now, and become more relevant to the industry, because technology is taking mainstay. It is there. It is enhancing and driving everything that we see around us. If there's one thing in this pandemic that has happened, which has reduced the impact of this pandemic, is technology, because it has allowed us to exist. It has allowed us to perform. Otherwise, imagine if technology had failed us, where we would have been absolutely doomed. But technology has allowed us to forward our careers, forward our businesses to the next level. So stay safe, stay productive. Shro is one of your VDI partners, but partnering with Shro saves you the hassles of managing the underlying complexities. It frees your time and resources to run your businesses. But again, I will end my slides with namaste by saying that technology and have passion. I mean, it's a techie tribe. So don't let your technology passion go down, whichever stage of a career you are in. Please keep learning and please keep having the same passion. I'll hand over this to Manoj, who's my colleague now on this presentation, to take you through some of the slides that he has on the HP SimpliVity and HCI architecture. Over to you, Manoj.
Thanks a lot, Anirudh. Thanks. Let me just share my slides. Fine. So is the slides visible?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
But I like the here to help COVID-19. That is a very comforting slide behind you.
Yeah, no, nice one. It's taking some time, is it?
Is it?
Why is it taking time?
So you want to just hold on. I think I have to share. I think I missed sharing it.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. Thanks.
Yes.
So thanks a lot, Anirudh. Yeah, thanks a lot. So sorry. So let me first start with why do customers deploy VDI? And if you really look at the pandemic, which is now crossed over a year, and the experience that we all have in terms of having the comfort of going to office, going to customer places, doing businesses, right? And so it has totally changed, right? Initially, if you really look at when it started, in late March, it was very difficult for us to get into terms in terms of this is how we need to work from home, right? So as Anirudh said, we are very lucky enough that we have technologies today, okay, which were there for us to assist in this entire pandemic issues that we are facing, right? So because of technology, we are still here, we are still doing business. What has changed? Yeah, what has changed for 1 year is we are now, because of technology, we are now used to, being working from home remotely, doing all our business functions. Like I've been part of a sales technical guy. I mean, for the past over 1 year, we are doing the same amount of businesses, but you're all doing remotely, right? So question is, how is it? VDI is one of the very important growth factor in terms of the technology that we have seen primarily in the pandemic, right? We always have VDIs in silos, in customer environments. Some amount of users were going on to VDI, but because of the pandemic, there's no other option but to work from remote places. Could be a laptop, even for that matter, could be any of the end devices, as can also be a smartphones, right? So the question is, why do customers actually want to deploy VDI in the first place, right? So let's go to that. One is, as a user, if I am a user of a VDI, what is it that I need? I need to be able to access all my applications, all my things that I need to run my role as an employee of an organization. That's where I should be able to access data. Then you have the IT, where IT primarily is looking at something which is very centralized, and so that manage the entire centralized infrastructure in a secured way. And then you have the business primarily it's looking at how do I have my users being more productive, and while they're being more productive, they're also looking at how do I have cost savings and ROI on return. If I go a little bit more in granular in these three segments of business that are there, a user primarily expects something that is very reliable, right? So for example, if he's doing some business work which is related to his office work that is there, he expects that whatever applications he's running, okay, or he's used to run on his office desktops, you expect that at least you would get those applications in terms of the response that is get. So you expect that, okay, probably on the video, I should either get a better, performance, or if not better, at least it should be a performance which is equivalent to what I experienced when I was in my office, right? Other thing is he also needs data which is available everywhere. So he probably may not be in the house always, right? So he should have access to various devices. This is what the user expectations are, and if he's not able to access the applications, there is not able to access application. There's something which is there on he's not satisfied. The user is primarily not satisfied. So that's what he's looking at. A business looks at from the pandemic, business feels that they need to have the same amount of productivity that they would have before the pandemic, right? So for every employee, the business expects that every employee should be at least equivalent to that productivity what he was 1 year before from now, okay? And for that, they realize that, the option for them is to give them a facility or a setup where they can, work from anywhere on a VDI setup, right? But at the same time, funds are not there. Funds are limited for organization because the businesses have just started coming in. So they are very diligent in terms of how they invest the funds, right? So they want to be very clear in terms of what they're investing. They want to have, less amount of capex investment. They want to have a very good ROI. So that's what business actually looks at. The major challenges is the IT, because when we talk about such huge or enterprise grade, infrastructures we are building up, a lot of components that IT needs to really look at. For example, you need to have storages, and you have the servers or the computes. You connect them using interconnect, could be a fiber interconnect between the servers. Then there are other networking components. There are other components like, routers, the firewalls and everything. All these, things turns out to be complex. So as you move on from what you're today to building a more larger VDI install, it turns out to be more complex. Okay, one of the things that they have challenges in terms of specific to VDI environment is the login spikes, right? Every day, Monday morning at 9 o'clock, everybody tries to log in, and then there's a spike. So the user expects that, when he tries to log in, he should be able to log in as seamlessly as he was when he was using Office desktop, right? And the question is scaling, right? Today we had, for example, our organization had 100 VDI users. Today we have almost all the employees who are actually working on remote. And if there are applications that they need to access, the only platform for them is to provide VDI access or a VDI instance that is there. So how do we scale that? How do you scale that is a challenge. And second is the risk of downtime from the user perspective, right? I'm doing some business critical, working on a business critical applications, and if I'm not able to get the data, when I say I'm not able to get the data, you have data available, but probably it is very slow. The response is slow. Again, you have user not satisfied issues. The question is, how do you actually manage this entire things, right? You can go about, as an organization, you can go about, you can say, okay, I will over provision, I will over invest, which in this pandemic situation, you would not want to do it. Because the moment you're over investing, you have a very happy users, but you're not going to get the ROI for that. Or you can just go ahead and under-invest. When you're doing an under-invest, then the user is not able to deliver that productivity which is expected from the business, right? And when they're not able to deliver the productivity, they are not going to use that environment, as efficiently. And again, there's a drop in ROI. So you're not going to get an ROI. Or you might choose, okay, I'll choose something in between. Okay, I will not oversize it, I will not undersize it, but let me go somewhere in middle path. You might get a lower ROI in the scenarios, but you might have some customers which are happy. They will not be that happy that they would be, but it's an okay situation, right? So for example, they would not be that productive in any scenarios, right? So the question here is, from the HP's perspective, and primarily from the Simplicity platform perspective, our approach is looking at a way in which can we actually simplify the entire infrastructure, right? Rather than the IT managing the entire complex environment with a lot of components, the storage, the servers, the applications, the network and everything. Is there a way we can simplify it? That's the approach we take when we have a Simplicity platform. The approach is to simplify the environment, number one. Number two, you can start up small, right? When you invest something, typically before the pandemic, you used to always think, okay, let me look at how my growth path is going to be 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, and you make a capex investment on day one. We don't have that liberty today, right? So we would want to invest very judiciously. We just want to invest what is required now, but we also need the ability to be able to scale, scale at a very large scale. seamlessly. So that's one thing we want to approach is when you talk about simplicity. And then of course the performance. When I say user experience, you need to be able to deliver performance. We don't want to cut in cost in terms of technology. We want to have it more cost effective. We want to have a good ROI, but you also need to have performance on the user. And then the reliability or the resiliency, which is a more important factor. Right? So this, we look at these as an approach. That's the approach we have when we talk about HCI. Now what is simplicity? Let me take two for a couple of minutes on what simplicity is. Simplicity is HP's HCI offering. Now, as we all know, when we say HCI, the reason for people moving on to HCI, number one, it makes things a lot simpler in terms of management. It's highly efficient. And most important thing is you don't need to manage different components, right? So that's what a simplicity is offering for HCI. Now, HCI, if you look at traditionally, it actually consolidates, so it actually merges everything. So you have your storages, you have your backward networking, your compute, and everything, the hypervisors, all put as a single appliance. That's what a hyperconverged infrastructure is. Now, typically, a hyperconverged infrastructure still needs something which is additional, which that's the reason the simplicity when we say it's a level beyond a normal hypervisor, because we not only do what the other hypervisors would do, but what we do addition is we can do your backups, restores, DR, WAN optimization, all those put simply as a single appliance. So you have a single appliance, okay, which does everything, which does the entire consolidation like any HCI. It does your backups, it does your restores, it does your replication, it does WAN optimization, everything. And so it's an all-in-one system, right? So you don't need to worry about, as I said, you don't need to worry about silos of managing different components of your IT infrastructure. Number one. Number two, as you grow or as you refresh, it's pretty much easy and seamless for you to add anything additional in terms of nodes. Okay, and it's all managed simply. So you manage a simplicity like you don't need to know what a storage is. You don't need to understand how the servers are going to get configured. You just, if you are a hypervisor administrator, it's the same thing that you see. As a hypervisor admin, you just go ahead and create VMs and and set those policies for your VMs. And it's automatic, so there's no tuning that is required. That's the most important. When I talk about performance, it's a dynamic thing, right? You have to keep on tuning the entire infrastructure so that you get the optimum performance, which has been eliminated on the Simplicity platform. Your upgrades are pretty simple, right? Because now when I'm talking about an appliance which has your storage, which has a compute, which has your VMs running in, and then the applications inside the VM, right? When you need to do an upgrade, and it makes things very simpler. You just click one and everything is taken care by. And this is now backed up by the global intelligence. What it about global intelligence is we are all remote, right? There's nobody in the data center monitoring, looking at that. So we have this global intelligence who's actually real time, almost on real time, looking at the entire behavior of how this entire VDI environment looks like, and it's actually doing a remote monitoring, putting in machine learning languages and suggesting if there's a possibility of any issues that can happen and rectify. Right now, you can start up. As a simplicity is an appliance, you take a simplicity, you have everything there in terms of compute and everything. So you can start up very small, whatever is the requirement today. You can start up as small as just 2 nodes and then keep on scaling. So you can scale from 2 nodes to 4 nodes to 8 nodes as you grow. Now, what does this mean? This means that earlier, before the pandemic, you would have thought of doing an investment which can cater to you for next 3 years, right? So you make a capex investment on day one for next 2 years. What this actually changes the entire game in terms of you just invest what is today, maybe 6 months down the line, you need it, you keep on adding it. Now, because these are blocks, okay, and these are blocks, you just seamlessly keep on adding the way you want it. Okay. Another thing which is very important is how do you get. Now, VDI, when you talk about, and when we are really talking about business, wants the user to be productive, but business also wants to have a good ROI. They don't want to invest because the funds are limited, right? How can we do that? One principle that we follow on this Simplicity VDI platform is I would not do the IOs if not needed. Basically means that you are doing IOs onto the system. When you say performance, you're basically reading and writing. The VDI instances are basically reading and writing from the platform. Right. So what we do here is because of the inline deduplication technologies that we use. Now, if you look at VDI, most of the VDIs will have the same operating system, same Windows OS. Most of the applications are the same. A lot of the data are basically duplicated. So we will not use that. For example, Most of our VDI customers have a ratio of 100:1, a deduplication ratio. Basically means for every, out of every 100 blocks, we're able to eliminate 99 blocks. Now, what does this mean is, if you're doing 100 IO, I'm probably just doing 1 IO on the system, number one. Second thing is I'm reducing the footprint. So if you need 100 terabyte, you probably don't need to buy 100 terabyte. You just buy 10 terabyte and you're done with that, and you're also getting the same performance, right? It helps a lot in your boot storms. Boot storms is something which is always a challenge in a VDI. Now there's a dilemma there, because boot storms are something which happens when you log in, right? For example, you come to the office, all the users, log in, or maybe on the remote side at 9 o'clock, that's the office time. Everybody tries to log in, and you have a boot storm, and the system is not able to manage, right? After that, it goes down, it normalizes, and then in the afternoon, you go for lunch, you come back. So there are 2 or 3 peaks. Question is, do you want to size the infrastructure to meet that peak? I mean, it's not advisable, at least not in this pandemic, right? So how do you manage that? So that gets managed by Bootstrap, because we are not going to write. We are actually eliminating most of the writes that are going to the system. We are only going to write the unique blocks. So that helps a lot in a Bootstrap environment also. Other thing which is very important in terms of scalability is you can buy a SimpliVity node, maybe 2 nodes or 3 nodes, whichever is the requirement at the moment. And tomorrow, if you say, I need to have more amount of compute power, you can just go ahead and add a more compute to that, right? So for example, CPU resources, right? Or you have an environment which is, let's say, a knowledge users where they're working on design files, or they need a very high, graphic intensive applications. If they're running, you can actually have GPUs or a graphic cards actually put on the SimpliVity node. So for those applications which require a very high graphic infrastructure can be catered to, right? Not only that, if you have any of your compute environment, like from any of the other vendor, if you have any other compute environment, you can use the same environment as a compute node in a SimpliVity cluster. So what we're saying is, whatever you have, we will make use of the existing compute environment, and that can become part of a cluster. This really makes a lot of sense, because now you are not really forced to buy something which is very proprietary to HP, right? You have anything in terms of your compute, we can use it. You have GPU requirement, we can add in a GPU. So that's how it works, and the scalability is very simple. There's no much amount of thought process that goes in terms of designing. It's almost like a plug and play. I have 2 nodes, I need 1 more compute node, or simply I just plug it and I'm done. Okay. Now, question is, how do we validate? Now we have validated for the last 5 years. We have been validating now by login VSI. Now, what is login VSI? Login VSI is an industry standard used for doing performance validation for various VDI environment. Could be Citrix, could be VMware, could be Microsoft, right? So what they do is they actually get this validated, and these are published for users like you. If you need to go for a VDI environment, and you can actually go and look at the validated configurations and see if any of those use cases are fitting in an environment, and you can use those reference documents. In HP, what we do is we do the entire benchmarking for all the platforms or all the solutions that we have on VDI and SimpliVity, and then we go back to a login VSI and we tell them that you can go ahead and do the validations, right? So if you go to the sites, you would see almost more than 67% of the validations are SimpliVity platform validations that I say. So those are something which you can look at if you need to really get into VDI and you want to really have validated configurations. This is there. Not only that, we have independent validations also. So if you go to techvalidate.com, you will see various validations that have been done by SimpliVity. We have seen that almost all the install bases that we have in SimpliVity, 1/3 of our customers are seeing close to 100x of efficiency ratio. 50% of our customers are seeing 50 times efficiency ratio, which basically means that if you need 100 terabyte, you don't need 100 terabyte. You probably just need 10 terabyte or 20 terabyte. So these are validated things which have been tested. I would like to conclude here by saying that SimpliVity has a hyper guarantee. Now, what does that guarantee means? You can take a backup of 1 terabyte. You can take a VMware backup of 1 terabyte in less than 60 seconds or less than a minute. That's the amount of speed at which you can do a backups and restore, which is very unique in the industry. If you really say, we're talking about in the VDI environment, really talking about efficiency of close to 90% for your capacity and your backups that are there, right? And we are talking about something when you scale, everything is up and running, right? So if you want to scale your environment, there is no disruption at all, right? You can add nodes to the environment. Okay, you can take backups. And most important, if you need to replicate. Now, this platform, as I said earlier, it's not just a HCI, it's much beyond HCI because you can have your backups, your hacker replication, everything built onto the single platform. So that's what I had. You have a lot of, on the public side, you have a lot of reference case studies. You can actually look at validated configuration. Even if you do Google and look at SimpliVity VDI, you get a lot of VDI information. A lot of information is available in the public cloud. And of course, you can always reach out to Shro or HP, any one of us, for anything that you need specific to VDI environments. So that's what I have. Thanks a lot, team. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anirudh. Manoj, Manoj, can you stop that presentation? Okay. Great. Already some audience questions coming in. But before that, give me an idea. You said since the pandemic, VDI has really taken off. Some growth estimates, Anirudh, Manoj, what kind of growth have you seen?
I think the market is growing around 20%. VDI market will grow more than that, but initial estimates are that they will see from a technology perspective. It's a proven technology. It's been there for many years. What is actually now changed is adoption. Earlier, the adoptions were a little lower. Now the adoptions are going to change faster and faster. And as the pandemic even subsides, you'll see a lot of customers embracing it. So from a time from now, 2021 to 2025, for example, just keep going. It'll just keep growing like crazy. Initial estimates now are it's growing at a 20% CAGR. Manoj, if you want to add.
There's some noise in the background. Just be careful. I don't know where that is coming from. Okay, Manoj, do you want to say something?
Yeah, sir, because we have also seen for the past 1 year, the adoption of VDI has increased. We have, like for example, we have seen customers who have gone for VDI are going in for higher capacity in terms of node, because now they are putting in more amount of applications. They have more amount of users. Initially started with a small scale, now they are the way in which the technology has been delivering. They are putting in more applications, more users on the VDI platform. Right? To give you a perspective, we have seen almost around 45% of repeat business in the last 1 year. Okay, and that counts to almost 60% of our customers actually buying in more amount of CDI, SimpliVity cluster nodes, right? Because they are growing. That's what our experience has been.
Okay.
Market size, Sujit, if you look at from one of the analysts, is around $90 billion plus in the IT spend.
Okay.
We're talking about that kind of number in India. And
okay.
If you look at that kind of a size, look at how much spend is going to now happen. And all companies who are now holding back their technology investments now are forced to do technology investments. So they have to do it. There's no choice for them, right? They've seen it, and the 1 year has gone by, and now they know that this year, April onwards, a new financial year, they're going to deploy more budgets towards technology spending. Not only VDI as a technology, they're going to enhance and upgrade their networks. They're going to enhance the security profiles and the security investments, and just about everything. So the spend is huge, and that's going to grow pretty much globally as well as in India.
Okay. One question from my side before I get into the audience questions. There are already some some questions that have come. The last several months, I don't know, can't imagine the number of conversations we've had where executives tell us that the public cloud is where everybody is going. Now you're telling me that VDI is as much. It makes sense in many cases to have your own in-house data centers and use a VDI kind of setup. Under what circumstances are you saying as the public cloud useful? Where does it make more sense? You mentioned performance and compliance and control and all of that as one of the benefits compared to the public cloud. So where are the use cases for each of these?
Manoj, you want to go first?
Yeah. So, we do have public clouds, right? Now the thing is, when you talk about security, right? We all know public cloud, they do secured. Now the thing is, you look at having a public cloud, what do you get in a public cloud? One is the agility, number one. Number two, what you get is pay as you grow, right? You can actually, you can just choose you want to grow your instances in terms of VDI, or for that matter, any of your VMware or any hypervisor instances, right? So that's the main driver for a public cloud, but definitely not the cost. I mean, if it's not like I'm going for a public cloud, it's going to be cheaper for me, right? Vis-a-vis, if you really look at an environment, right, where I have the infrastructure in my my environment, right? I know it's my environment. I know it's secure because it's in my own data center, right? But at the same time, you're still getting the same agility, and you're still getting the pay-as-you-go model for infrastructure which is in your side, right? So that's what Anirudh talked about, the Green Lake, where it's exactly like your public cloud. You pay as you grow, and not only pay as you grow. If your utilization drops below, you pay less, right? Which is not possible in a private cloud, right? So on a public cloud, so that's what it is. So the difference here is. Do you want infrastructure in the public cloud? Yes, you can do that. But do you want it in your own infrastructure with the same thing that you get in public cloud, is the agility and the pay-as-you-go model? That's where the question is. Yeah.
So Sujit, to answer your question, cloud, yes, of course, this is a cloud market. Everything is going to be about cloud, and we are also not denying the fact. The only way the way it's going to be consumed is going to be different. The flavor of cloud is going to be different, right? It's going to be either a private cloud or a hybrid cloud consumption, which will make more sense for VDI as a workload. And we have solutions as Shro Systems. We do a lot of assess and plan when we look at VDI. So when a customer comes to us, we're going to look at what is the size of the customer, what is his workload, what is his suppose he has a VDI, engineering VDI I talked about. It's a very heavy, very specific niche requirement, and which may not require a public cloud kind of a platform. But you can exist in a private cloud for that particular thing. But for a public cloud, you can look at a task user, which is a repetitive user, which might look at a very, very small company. So we are not saying that we're going to say everything is going to be on-premise. No, definitely not. We are going to have a consumption on-premise cloud model also to a lot of customers. But I'm saying that one size doesn't fit all. So we're going to look at customers, their types of customers. VDI as a technology will exist. How are we going to deliver it? Either it's going to be public cloud, hybrid, or private cloud. That's the differentiation we're going to use based on the customer type, customer segment, and his workload. And if you look at, say, 5,000 users or 6,000 users, and look at that kind of investment plan, it might not make sense for a lot of people to remain relevant in a particular cloud interface. They will decide a hybrid model. They'll say some of the users will exist on-prem, some of them will be public cloud, and then Shro system will create that interface that they can coexist and work.
Okay, got it. Number of questions that have come in. Let me start with those. There's one from Avantika Pandey. This is for Anirudh. How do VDI solutions providers like Shro help businesses and handhold them till the go live and post go live support?
So thank you for this question, Avantika. I think one of the mainstays at Shro Systems for the last 33 years is our approach to services and consulting. I think we're not going to leave customers at till we kind of give them the full value. So our expertise in our field of technology, and I mentioned this earlier about certification, all our people are certified. Our expertise around flavors of Citrix, of VMware, for even ACOPS, and the interface we have with HP certifications. I think the expertise is the super important thing that we bring to the table in front of customers. And whether it's the POC stage, whether it's the planning stage, or whether it's implementation and go live and post live also, I think that in a VDI kind of a technology, these all functions are super important, and we have to walk the entire mile and take the ecosystem offering. At Shro Systems, we take it very seriously. That's our experience. That's why we're here for 3 decades. Otherwise, we would have been vanished. And Sujit, it's not only I'm not the only techie guy in Shro. We have a bunch of techies, and that's why we're surviving. I think we are again a tribe within the company, and that's what we strive for.
Okay, nice. This is also for you, Anirudh. Somebody wants you to, Swarnil wants you to repeat the name of the book you mentioned for understanding VDI better, and where can we get it?
So you can get it. It's available on the,
can you get it on Amazon and all that?
Yeah, you'll get it. It's Enabling the Next Generation VDI. It's a Gorilla Guide.
Gorilla Guide.
Yeah.
Who was the author? I'm also trying to get that.
Lawrence Miller.
Lawrence Miller, is it?
Lawrence Miller, yeah.
Okay. There you. Okay. We'll put it up on the website later, Swarnil.
Okay.
Okay. This other question is from Jayant asking, can we use VDI for high-end graphic applications?
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Manoj. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Anirudh already shared a customer case study for engineering customer, right? Where they're using GPUs for the VDI, right? So yes, definitely. From the simplicity platform perspective, you can have GPU, NVIDIA is what we have in the simplicity. You can put the GPUs and then you can run very high intensive graphics. Definitely, yes, yeah.
In fact, that's a very compelling. It's a very compelling workload, and in this pandemic, it has happened. Sujit, we have supported so many customers in a tough lockdown situation. Also, with the police bandobast and all, we have been able to go and enhance the technology platform of customers so that they can enable the power and power users like this engineering VDI users. It's impossible for them to work from home. Just imagine. Medical research, pharmaceutical companies, automobile research companies, having so many of engineering users, they cannot work from home. There's so much heavy software, so much of heavy requirements, and the secrecy and the IP that I talked about. But they have no choice, and VDI is a technology they have to embrace because all of the technologies will have some kind of limitations. VDI will give them performance, productivity, flexibility, and security. I think that's just about it. So
okay. And how do you scale up so quickly? I mean, you have stocks of what HCI, all this infrastructure there with you ready in case somebody wants it to immediately ship it, or what?
So when I say, when you want to scale, there are various things when you talk about scalability. It's not just about, having the infrastructure and scale, right? There's a lot of thought process which actually goes when you scale, right? For example, in a traditional approach, if you need to scale a particular component of our infrastructure, there are all the interline components which we need to look at, right? So it's a lot of planning phase. So what I'm talking about when you scale seamlessly, it primarily means you really don't need to have much amount of planning when you actually need to add a simplicity node. It's more like a plugin, right? I just have two nodes, I plug in one more node and I plug in a compute node, I keep on plugging it. So that makes things simpler. Of course, you have a lead time when you place an order and then, that's what it is. That's a lead time, which is anyway days there for any of the infrastructure that you procure. So that's that things. So from the lead time perspective, there's a lot of planning time which is what we're talking about, reducing that amount of time. And then we have expertise of Shro systems. They have been doing all these for a lot of customers, and so they bring in the more expertise in terms of what's the architecture, how do you have to implement. Those all put together is what we're really talking about, having a seamless upgrade.
Okay. Anirudh, before you answer, can you will it be as fast as the public cloud? People say public cloud. You can
absolutely. So Sujit, look at it. I mean, I'll just give you an example. 300 users, a case of 300 users VDI. We will go and provision infrastructure for 350 users or 360 users, and we'll only charge the customer for 300 users. Those 50, 60 users will keep as a capacity already locked with the customer, and we can enable that capacity within hours through a remote manageability feature. We can unlock the licenses, we can unlock the capacity, and all that is possible. So the way we're looking at infrastructure today, it's not a box, it's a fluid thing which is now deployed at your premises, and you can use it when you want. You can scale up, you can also scale down. So at Shro Systems and HP, we are now looking at it more as a service. We don't want you to lock your capital. And technology is changing so fast, Sujit. Every single 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, we are changing our technology. How do I protect everybody's, how do they stay current? iPhone comes in no time, people want to get to the new iPhone. And the same thing applies now to infrastructure, right? They have the new technology coming in, a new compute, new storage. That technology can be advanced by us. We will ensure that we will refresh your technology every 3 years, and without you having to. In the past, Sujit, used to happen. You have been you have got so much of experience in the technology world. You know that people used to use the technology 8 years, 9 years. They used to keep using the technology, pushing it to the limit. There's no need of that. Today, in 3 years, we will take back the technology, refresh it, and give it back to you without having to pay for that infrastructure cost, because the pay-per-use model ingrains that aspect. So scalability answer is yes. Public cloud speed, answer is yes. Public cloud economics, answer is yes. So more so that we can also interface this with the public cloud. For example, you have AWS, Microsoft Azure. I can use a hybrid model in which the on-prem can burst into the public cloud as a technology feature. This at Shro system we can enable. So we are not even limiting. Today we are saying technology is the base at which everything is going to happen. Don't worry about, you just tell us your SLA, tell us your requirement, we will deliver it. Don't worry about what is going to be the underlying layer. We're going to manage that for you and we're going to deliver the outcome.
Okay, very interesting. Quick answer to this one. Can companies like Shro serve clients on the other side of the country, say someone who's based out of Chennai? This from Soundarajan.
Absolutely, sir. I mean, I'm a huge fan of CSK keep tracking them. But having said that, on the serious note, we are servicing the entire length and breadth of the country, and technology has the power to kind of blur the boundaries. An email address is where your location is, your website is your location. Our service teams, our delivery teams, today as we speak, we are servicing a lot of customers across the country, almost in 45 locations. So yes, the short answer is yes. The long answer is we can do much more than only delivering. We can install. We did a smart city project in Bhubaneswar. We did a smart city project in Nagpur. We'll collaborate and we'll make sure that things are delivered at your locations and solutions are implemented. We can manage it remotely. We can manage it on per location. And as we speak, we are deploying a huge bank in India. We're deploying across 100 odd locations in India as we speak in the pandemic with RT-PCR certificates being negative, and we're still making sure that services are delivered. And our partnership with HP, in fact, allows us to do that because, again, if you look at HP's imprint is across the country. Any nook and corner, they're there, we are there. So location is no boundary. So, go CSK.
Okay, this is another question from Avantika, and I think we had discussed this the other day when the three of us were talking. We somehow feel that the cost of using VDI is on the higher side. How do we arrive at ROI to submit to management? Who can help us in that?
Manoj, you want to take that?
Manoj?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. When VDI actually started, many years before, the approach was, the thought process of the organization is, I'm going for a VDI, it's going to be cheaper, right? And we from the other side, from technology side, used to always tell them that it's not about the cost, it's more about the security. Imagine 100 users, 300 users working remotely, right? And they have the data on the desktops or a laptop, at home, and you don't have control on the security, right? So what VDI primarily does, you definitely have cost advantages with the newer technologies like DDoS compression, all those things coming into picture. But the main thing of a VDI is security and control, right? You have data at a secured, centralized environment where the IT has complete control. For example, you have 1,000 VDI users, you need to do upgrade of the VDI entire environment. How are you going to do? Okay, if you have 100 desktops outside the office, it's very difficult. It's very easy if it's a centralized environment. I do the upgrade, I do a rolling upgrade of 1,000 users, 10,000 users, 5,000 users, pretty much fast, right? And then I have everything under my control. The data is there within a data center premises. It is much more secure. So it's not about, how much do I spend on a VDI versus a normal infrastructure. It's more about from the business. It's more of a business call in terms of how secured my entire data set, because that's the IP of an organization, right? So that's what the difference is. And of course, cost nowadays, you definitely have cost advantage because of the newer technologies in terms of reducing the footprint, data reduction and all those things has come into picture. Yeah.
So exactly what Manoj has said. But I just add on that saying that the ROI on a VDI is over a number of years. Your initial investments might be a little high. I can see some disturbance coming, right?
Yeah. Okay, just
yeah.
Manoj, I'll mute. Manoj, can you also mute?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what I was saying is the VDI is ROI is spread over a number of years. But when you look at, like Manoj said, the amount of cost that you associate over managing it, when you start putting that in an Excel sheet, you'll see the real ROI coming through. That's point number one. But point number two, I think the cost discussion is now going away. you're looking at managements are ready to invest now because they know that the physical desktop or the fat client is not the real work device now. It has to be now liberated. And with the Gen Zs coming, I was mentioning about the Gen Zs. How are you going to attract talent? If you are, the minute the Gen Z comes in, he's going to see what is the social media quotient? What is your technology quotient? What is the workplace is supposed to be liberal, flexible. I don't think a CEO, if I am the CEO or MD of a company, I don't have a choice. I'm going to invest that money. I mean, do we have a choice against vaccination? No, we are going to vaccinate ourselves. That is something that we're going to do now so that we are able to work for a period of time. So VDI has to be done now. You have to inject VDI into your company's technology ecosystem so that you can work seamlessly over the next some years. And I'm sure this is not the end of the pandemic. And I don't want to sound gloomy, but you're going to see multiple things coming through right now, which will keep hampering the workplaces. So we'll have to come into a virtual world where everything exists on the virtualized platform, and people and technology and businesses move in seamlessly. I'm talking about a pandemic-proof business, which I think is a reality. And at Shro System, we want to be at the center of that digital journey of a customer. And I think the cost discussion, believe me, is going away very slowly. It'll be easier. So, Avindika, you can go back to the management, put a VDI proposal in front of them. They're going to approve it. There's so much of noise around VDI, but this time it's last time there was a lot of noise, less action. This time there's noise and action both.
Okay, this question is from Pamali Meti. What would be the ideal company in terms of number of employees, number of computers, etc., business sector for using VDI? Who wants to take that?
Manoj first.
Manoj, you're muted, huh?
I mean, there's nothing called as ideal. It can be as small, as probably 150 users, to start up with. So when I say VDI, it's about a use case, right? VDI primarily means you should be able to work, remotely from where it is, right? So it doesn't matter in terms of scales. From the scale, what it means, if you have a very large customer, it primarily means they are running different types of applications, right? Or they're using certain specific strategic business units where you require GPUs and all those things. In a medium scale, you might see not that much about a variety in terms of the user profiles or in terms of applications. Small organizations, primarily, they want to have access to the setup or the applications to the users, right? To work from home. So it's not about, whether it's small, high or very large scale organizations primarily. It's just the user profiles and how much amount of applications you're actually rolling out on VDI. So.
Perfect, right, Manoj? I'm going to ask Madhav. He's my, Vice President for Technology. Madhav, if you can also chip in and answer this question. Easy.
Hey, hi, Sujit. Can you please repeat the question for me once again? I couldn't get that question.
Sujit, you're mute.
Sujit, you're mute.
Sorry. Yeah. So the question is, what would be the ideal company in terms of number of employees, number of computers, etc., business sector for using VDI?
So basically, you cannot restrict to that, but if I have to tell you the threshold, probably if it is an engineering VDI, then you can consider, Manoj, you can correct me wherever I am wrong. You can consider a 30 virtual desktop environment from an engineering VDI perspective could be a good candidate. We would be able to showcase the entire TCO and ROI calculation for you. If it's a normal knowledge user or a normal user, you can consider roughly around upward of 50 or upward of 60 should be a good count. And from a industry vertical perspective, Sujit, I think if you consider typically all the BPOs, all the back offices where a lot of work goes on, people comes in shifts. You cannot have, there are thousands and thousands of people, 5,000 people working in 3 different shifts. I cannot afford to have as a management or as a company, I cannot afford to have 50,000 desktops or laptops or 20,000 or 3,000 for that matter. In that case, you can have a limited set of physical infrastructure and then create a virtual infrastructure where everybody can work in shift.
Okay.
That's right. And just to add what Madhav said, so even if you have, let's say, he said that he gave an example of customers who require very high graphics. So even if the count is 220 or 30, those are going to be really heavy users, right? So it's not the number of users, right? Whereas you can have 300 users or 400 users, they might not be that intensive in terms of the workload or in terms of profiles that are there. So it's basically a mix in terms of what's the application. Is it graphic intensive application or is just normal transaction users that are there, right? So that's how it is.
And Sujit is applying to education, is applying to every vertical, right? If you look at education, what is the, you got different classes, you got different subjects, different content, and how you can use the same infrastructure to replicate and make different users use the same infrastructure, different content is then displayed. So every single industry type will have a very compelling case study on this. But like Madhav and Manoj said, every single business, if it is sizable in a small, if it gets categorized in a small and medium business and then large enterprises, I think SMB and enterprises, all of them are capable of deploying VDI.
Deploying it. Okay. In your experience, which categories are the ones most using it?
Financial sector, their security is very high, their requirements are very high. So BFSI as a sector is using it. IT, obviously IT enabled services software as a company. Retail, hospitality as we call it, or even hospitals now, education. I think, but at the top of it, I think financial services.
Financial services, okay. And they tend to be very large, I guess, generally,
Yeah.
no?
But also more because of the security aspect and their demand for productivity. There's no scope because they're charging their clients also very high, so they can't say my setup is down. Manoj, okay. You want to add if I'm right or wrong?
Yeah, I totally agree with Anirudh, right? So I mean, we have seen various fields that are there. As I said, BFSI is one which is there, which is very critical from the business perspective. Nowadays, you're seeing a lot of medical and organizations also moving with that because of pandemic. Everything is online. So medical is one thing which it's a change. We have a lot of ITICs already being there, but the medical units that are there or medical environments, those are the ones which are now picking up and moving more towards the VDI environment. That's what it is.
One of the interesting things also, Sujit, was government organizations, right? Departmental organizations. There's a use case study with HPE only, with Green Lake in Kern County in the US. They use VDI so that they could enhance their platform to deliver to their community and citizens all the services. So that during the pandemic, I think the dependency on technology really increased. So even departmental organizations, corporations, municipal corporations will have to embrace these kind of technologies to make sure that the community at large is served, because they will not be able to come to offices now. They will not be able to go to departmental offices to work. So everything has to be digitized. Everything has to be put onto a platform which is easily accessible. So there are several case studies in the globe as well as in India of various different industry types. So you'll be amazed by who all are using
variety. Okay, this might be the last question. This from Abhishek Agarwal. As everyone is moving towards cloud applications, how is VDI compared to MDM solution in terms of cost and performance? I'm sorry, I don't understand MDM, so you'll have to explain that. MDM, what does he mean, MDM?
Mobile device management.
Oh, okay.
So Manoj, you want to take that?
I'm actually not able to get that question.
I'll repeat that.
Sure.
As everyone is moving towards cloud applications, how is VDI compared to MDM solution in terms of cost and performance?
Okay. So we're talking about mobile devices right now. So I mean, it's how do I put it across? So it's see, when you talk about mobile, I mean, from MDM, what I understand is you're talking about mobile devices, right? How you access your applications from the mobile. Is that what that's what it means? Then we have a lot of things which are coming onto the mobile. I don't know whether it's the right answer, but a lot of things, everything you do nowadays, it's on the mobile, right? You access your banking environment, you access your movies, you access everything from the environment. So when you say VDI, okay, it's you can have those environments on your smartphones also. We have few customers who are actually using a VDI environment from a smartphones. From the cost perspective, it depends on what's the scale, right? For example, if I'm rolling out something for a mobile environment, for example, I'm rolling at a very large scale, right? You can, so that's what it is. Versus if an organization is doing something, or if it's putting something on the MDM, that's the scales are different. So it's the cost primarily depends on the scales what it is there. For example, if you want to have something on your mobile devices, right? When you just scale out globally, right? You have a huge amount of customers buying it. So that's where the per user costing actually comes up to be much smaller than compared to. VDI is more of a organization level business environment that we're talking about. I hope that I'm answered correctly. Yeah.
Anirudh, do you want to add?
So I think if you look at VDI, with the kind of security it offers and kind of features in terms of productivity it offers, VDI is there. MDM is much cheaper, I think, from a solution perspective. But with VDI, you can also do MDM, right? I mean, you look at as a technology perspective. But there are two technologies, and a lot of companies will take what they need from a cost perspective, or from a productivity, or from a security perspective. So you'll have to decide what is the right fit. And I will have to look at if we can sit on the industry type that you're talking about, Abhishek, or we would like to know a little bit more which industry type, what is the segment that you're addressing, or what customer size you are, then we can look at what solution is best apt for you. But VDI as a technology has got huge advantages, and you can access it from any device, but you'll also have to have an MDM policy attached to in your IT policy, along with which you can use when you deploy VDI.
But you're saying there is an option where you can do an MDM minus VDI, is it? It may not be so secure and all that. What?
So MDM is a solution which exists, right? I mean, VDI can be used for application security and user content, while management of device provisioning and user setting it can be handled with MDM. And what I'm saying is they can coexist. Okay. Basically, end users are accessing a session, right? So okay. one could think of it as a cloud-based solution. But when you look at, that's what I'm saying. So when you expand this topic out, the cloud-based applications are definitely there, but you obviously are deciding. Every organization will decide the route that they want to take. They want to be on the cloud for SaaS-based models, or they want to have their homegrown applications. So it's not a very one fits size all kind of answer. You'll have to look at it from what relevance it has on what customer you're addressing. But in generally, for BYOD, VDI can also be used for MDM.
Okay. Great. Great discussion, very technical subject, which was addressed without too much of technicalities, etc. And, like I said at the beginning, I kept hearing about public cloud. So it was nice to have a conversation on VDI and, the numerous use cases where, control, compliance, and security, etc., where you want the data to reside within your data center. I mean, here you have a solution that is as good or better than the public cloud. Interesting to listen to all that. And both of you explained it very well, Anirudh, Manoj. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming on this platform. Great discussion. Okay.
So in fact, the Times Techies, as a tribe, is something that you should always propagate, Sujit. I think
absolutely.
The hashtag Time Techies tribe.
Okay. We'll
Thanks so much. Sujit. It's a wonderful platform. Kudos to you and your team to have made this as a platform. It's been going on for so many months. I keep reading the Time Techies page. It's great to have that section. It's a good read. It's a refreshing read to have technology conversations and people talking about so many things. So happy to be on this platform, but also happy to have that this initiative was taken by Telco India, always leading from the front. So kudos to the Telco India team. And HP and Shro, we are very happy to be associated with you. Great time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anirudh.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Namaste.
Thank you.